DreamHack ASTRO Open is brought to you by ASTRO, Monster Energy, Corsair, Zowie, and Intel.
Welcome back. Denver, the capital of Colorado, is an American metropolis dating back to the Old West era. Lamar Square, the city's oldest block, features landmark 19th century buildings. Museums include Denver's Art Museum and an ultra-modern complex in downtown known for its collection of indigenous works. And you know what? That's not why we're here. We're here for the Monster Energy. I'm kidding. We're here for that and the DreamHack Denver ASTRO Open. Guys, are you hyped? Or am I just drinking too much Monster?
Totes, bro.
I feel like you're doing something else a little bit too much.
What's that?
Kidding.
You want to talk about it?
Not at all.
No?
No.
Not on air?
I don't think so.
Totes.
You know what else is not a joking matter, guys? NRG versus Big. And that's where we're going next, guys. What do we think?
Well, there's not really much we can analyze here in a pregame because Big has been awful lately, and NRG has just changed their roster. They switched up Daps to coach. That anytime you make a roster change, it really changes the dynamic of the team. You got to figure out what your new lineup is good at and bad at. It's not as simple as a plug and play,
right?
Especially when it's a player who not really. I don't think probably many of the players on the team even really knew about that well. Didn't know his play style, et cetera, until they started playing with him. So I think it makes it very hard when you're replacing a player like that.
Did you call it plug and play?
Plug and play.
Well, but plug and play, you see what I'm saying? I can see it.
There you
All
go.
right. Had to get the horns in there one time for old sakes. What are you thinking, Dust?
And if you rewind that back even more, I mean, NRG hasn't had a stable lineup since the guys from Big departed the team, right? Because, I mean, originally they started out with, guys like Markey were on the team. Obviously they brought in Breeze, they had Daps, they had Fugly, they had Peter. And now not many of those guys still remain from that, right? I mean, you had, Markey obviously came out, Little Man was in for a bit, then it was A&J. Now you got Cirque coming in for Peter, now you got Rico coming in for Daps. Like, they've just been really all over the place with the lineup. And on top of all that, you're introducing Fugly into an in-game leader role, and that could always go sour sometimes when people can't really step up to the plate in a role that has that much responsibility.
So, before we get too in-depth here, we want to try to paint a picture. Want to try to let the viewers at home know that if you're just joining us, this is how this is broken down so far. We're going to take a look at the groups real quick and see just how these teams have gotten here to the matches that they're currently slated to play. That's right, Cloud9 taking an easy, almost simple victory there over Tempo Storm, 16-4. Followed by, at least for this group, what we just watched within CLG and Renegades going 16-14, going the full distance. Leaving us what you see now, Cloud9 Renegades going to be played out after this one, I do believe, maybe even one more after that. But anyway, let's switch the page. Let's go on now to this group. Now you're going to see Mousesports LDLC, also a little bit of a stomp, but we're going into that second group stage match here between Big and NRG. The winner will go on to face Mousesports later on. And guys, we're talking a little bit about the triumphs and the troubles and the woes and the rosters, this and that. But ultimately, let's just start with the NRG side and say, what can we hope happens here in their favor?
I mean, you have to just hope that all these moving parts, fit into place, right? You have to hope that Fugly, he's been in-game leading, I think, since September online, but this is a whole new environment. It's a lot higher stakes. The pressure can be more intense. Luckily, he does have Daps right behind him, and Daps is going to be able to talk in between rounds, so he's going to be there to hopefully help him out, and he's obviously very familiar with the team. He's been playing on it this entire time. But it's also about this Rico guy. I mean, this is a new level of competition for him as well. I mean, I think the only LAN I know him for was that same iBuyPower Game Fest event where, they took out Tempo Storm Brazil, but outside of that, he's never really faced a whole lot of top-level competition. And some of these big guys are actually quite good. Obviously, some veterans on this team, some firepower on this team that he's going to have to try to go up against. And so you have to wonder if those things are going to fit into place or not.
Well, I know Rico from the SoCal lands, right? And having used that as sort of a platform, I would guess, to also propel yourself and continue to grow as a player. Now finding himself on NRG, we're not in SoCal anymore, Rico. So you got a lot to prove here, especially on the big stage such as this.
Yeah, and I think if he can come out and play just okay, I think Breeze and Cirque can really pull the weight of this team. They've been outstanding, especially, in my opinion, Breeze. I think I'd put him in my maybe top 3 in NA. Individually, he's just a solid all-around player. Communicates well. He doesn't go on tilt. He's what you would, I think, every top team would be looking for in a player. And Cirque has really come over as an opper and really, he's lighting it up.
He's nuts, man.
He's lighting it up.
Especially if you give that guy dualies. That's a little wild. It's a wild thing to bring to the table. But by all means, Cirque, keep doing you, bud. You know, we can wrap that up a little bit and kind of fast forward now and look at Big. Let's talk about Big. We've touched the fact that they've had a couple of woes. Walk me through this one, Dust.
Yeah, I mean, they started out this year pretty good at Leipzig, right? They made the finals there. They beat Heroic back when they still had Valdo, and they were still considered a really top team. And so the start of the year for them actually looked pretty promising. Really disappointing performance still at Copenhagen games. But then the major cycle started, right? They took care of business in the minor and the qualifier. They made it to the major. They got legendary status. And so you're thinking, okay, like these guys, maybe they're going to show us something. But since the major, you know, they haven't qualified for a lot of stuff. They obviously did pretty poor at Mykonos. And so you're kind of wondering, was it just a flash in the pan at the major? Obviously, there's a lot of asterisk around that, like how they got through the group stages, right? And what's happened on Inferno for them since then, in the playoffs of the major and then afterwards and in other tournaments. So it's kind of hard to read this team because we actually haven't seen them offline that much in total this year.
Yeah, and since the bug change, I'm going to put it out there.
Fair enough,
Ever
yeah.
since that jump bug change, these guys have fallen off. All right,
man.
I'm just being honest.
Hey, you know, they did catch an incredible amount of flack for that.
They did, and they also got, I think, you know, they still won, and you can't win off of just using a jump bug.
Right.
Like, that's not going to win you matches on its own. It definitely helps, but they got Inferno, like, all 3 times, and that really propelled them through the group stage. But they still played well, and I think that was really important. But since then, they have not played well at all. It has been abysmal. They got scraped at, I believe it was Mykonos,
Right.
if I'm not mistaken. So, you know, these guys really, I think they, of all the teams here, I think they probably have the most to prove because they were a legend spot team, and
Right.
they have been absolutely abysmal.
I mean, if we look at the leadership across both teams, right? So in one corner you've got B. Now Daps is taking on a coaching role. Seemingly will take on that more leadership style approach to that roster. Is it out of realms to say that, you know, B himself is that sort of mastermind still?
They're starkly different types of styles between these two teams, right? I mean, besides the jump bug, the other big reason why they were so good on Inferno was because they were coming up with unique executes that no one else was doing, right? Some really nifty stuff that Gabi comes up with, a very execute-driven team, a lot of utility usage, a lot of coordination. So he's very much regimented in like these drilled set pieces, whereas someone like a team like NRG has typically been more default-oriented under Daps' leadership a lot of the time. I think Fugly's trying to bring in a little bit more, you know, aggressiveness and a little bit more gimmicky stuff into the mix. And I think that when you have a guy like Breeze who's very explosive and a guy like Cirque with AWP, you're going to want to try to cater to him a little bit. So I think we're going to have to see how much does NRG change with Fugly in-game leading compared to what they were in the past.
Yeah, and I think it'll also be interesting the fact that they're going against NRG is going against their old in-game leader. How much will Daps know of his calling style? On you know, he might, I don't know if he'll remember any strats, but you never know. He might be able to read into what Gob is thinking and the way he likes to play. So it is an interesting matchup for me. I do think Gob is a mastermind in-game leader, though.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't put Daps in that category.
Back from the olden days, and he's still able to provide, and you know, this might be a big challenge for them. See what I did there?
That's
Anyway, before the puns get too cheesy, let's go ahead and check out these band maps. We do have the vetoes flying in right now. We're going to see Mirage come out here from Big, and then Cash by NRG as band maps. But ultimately, guys, where do we feel this one's going to land most of all?
I'm leaning towards Train or Cobble. Those are my 2 that I would look at. Nuke is an obvious ban for Big. We knew that was going to come. They don't play that. I'm surprised I haven't seen an Inferno ban yet on a Big, and there's an overpass from NRG. So it's looking like it's going to come down to Train or Cobble, which is, I think, what I expect. I don't know about you, Des.
Yeah, I think it's hard for me to really know Big because Big actually are different than most teams where they don't really have like a set ban all the time. They don't always have a set pick either. Like they really kind of play it against their opponent. And then NRG, this is their first time offline with Fugly in-game leading and with Rico on the team, and even their first LAN with Cirque as well, actually. They never actually got to play a LAN with the 5 previous to Rico joining, so you don't really know what to expect just yet as far as map pool goes, but it is in fact going to go down the Cobble, one of the maps that you thought it might go down to. And so yeah, it should be a lot of fun to see just the firepower get unleashed on a map like this. That it's kind of stale tactically, to be honest. There's a couple of little cool things, but I think it's be more about how explosive these teams can be.
Yeah, I think the real interesting and sort of unique aspect about what NRG is doing is that they're not taking a chance on bringing in new talent. They're not taking a chance in bringing in players. I don't say imports, but that's how they're referred to in like League of Legends, so to say. But at least here, them taking chances on players and then seemingly working out. When you have an aggressive sort of player like Cirque can be, he can be lethal. He can win you a match. But, you know, is this one of those matches?
Yeah, I don't know. It's really going to come down to, I think, Fugly's calling styles, as we went to earlier. We don't know what that looks like, and I think that's a big talking point. And I will be specifically paying attention to see how NRG plays these rounds.
Well, pay attention to this at Twitch chat. That's right. Go ahead and grab your keyboard, put it in your lap, type !big or !NRG to get involved in the votes for this game, because that's how you play along. That's how you play along at home. And ultimately, I've got to ask if you guys are echoing the same sentiment. I mean, let's get some little score lines going here.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback off of Hayes real quick, actually. I think not only do you have to think about Fugly's in-game leading, but you also think about his individual performance. How does he balance the two? He's also more active on this version of the lineup than he used to be on previous teams, kind of like NAF. We talked about that last game. So I want to see how he performs. And Big, I know what to expect. I know I'm going to see regimented executes and good coordination. I want to see how does NRG handle the pressure of that. I'm going to go with Big, though. I think that just the experience that they have in the leadership role particularly, and just kind of being able to rely on their firepower a little bit more, I think I'm going to go with them.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to go with Big as well. I think this is a map they're very comfortable on. I got a lot of question marks for NRG, and it's hard for me to give them the edge here, especially against a team that is experienced as Big. I have Big winning this.
Well, staying on the edge, it's not a good place to be, boys. But I'm going to go against the grain. I'm going to believe in NRG. I think Cirque's about to come alive and open a can of something that I'm probably not allowed to say here on air. And that's completely fine, too. Anyway, I'm signing with NRG. Take it or leave it, boys.
Well, you're dumb.
Well, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get out of this segment as fast as possible and tie in our commentators who are sitting idly by, ready to bring us the action. Look at that. We've mixed it up. Imported them all the way from California. We've got Blue and we've got Launders.
Hey, what's up?
Hope y'all aren't dumb, too.
No, I'm definitely not dumb.
All right. Well, who do you guys
got
got?
a big brain.
Huge.
Who do you guys got?
Well, obviously, NRG.
Hey, high five, James.
Get on it. Leave.
All right. Well,
I'll come back to the realm of normality, though. I think
Yeah.
Big is going to take this one personally.
Well, I think you're wrong, and that's all that matters, right, Launders? Go ahead and take it from here, guys. We'll just hand it over to you.
Thanks so much, Trace.
All right, yeah, thank you indeed. And we're going to be getting ready to jump into this map here now. It'll be on Cobblestone. And it's going to be this newish NRG's roster, first time to show themselves on LAN, as they haven't had that opportunity yet. They've been doing really good online, but again, it's always rough with NRG having to translate that to LAN play from what we've seen in the
Yeah,
past.
that's how I've always thought of them. A bunch of onliners, if you ask me. But no, for real, I think what's going to be cool is seeing them play together with a whole bunch of players who've like not played a LAN or played together on LAN. It's such a new experience for them. It might be quite overwhelming. I think it is fair to say that you would assume that Big should have this considering their experience and their ability. They know that they can get results on LAN versus teams. Plus, they're pretty good at Cobble. So, you know, all in all, I jokingly said NRG. I do think Big will probably take it, but at the same time, NRG have shown that they are very good at the map. I think you got to get lucky, though. You pick a player sometimes, and they show that they have ice in their veins, you know, that they don't care that what the circumstances are. They're just true superstar players who don't get scared of their competition. I feel like Cirque is going to be that guy. Like, he's young, came in, and even though it's online, it's pro matches. Those matches, everybody gets nervous in, and he seems to not care. He's like taking duels. He's looking for these really aggressive peaks at like hard angles, and he wins those fights quite often. And I think Cirque, I feel like that's not going to change just because now he's on LAN.
No, I agree with that completely. I think that he, as well, kind of has a lot to prove as a very young player. So if he can do it at his first LAN, or one of his first bigger LANs like this, then that's going to be a really great opportunity for him to really put himself in the global spotlight and make other people really pay attention to him as an individual player. Because we've seen that, in the ESL Pro League, he's been doing really well online, a really aggressive offer, and constantly getting these crazy kills. But the big question, obviously, is going to be, can it translate to LAN, as we see with many of these players like this.
Yeah, and then we're gonna have to see. Fugly has been calling for most of the season. Even when Dabs was on the team, I think he was in just some kind of transitional period where he was still on the team, but he was like allowing Fugly to call while he was there to ease them into the transition. So I think for a while they knew that Dabs was going to be leaving the team. I know he expressed to me at it was a Northern Arena, and I think it was in Toronto, that he was kind of done with playing. So like for a while, I think he'd been thinking about moving into more of a managerial or coach role, and now that's just finally happened. So I think he's where he wants to be, honestly, and I feel like the transition was probably pretty smooth. And if he was playing on the team, I think he was a true professional, played with the roster while also helping them, knowing that he's going to be moved to a coach role. So I doubt there was any salt there. I think they all have a good relationship with him, and I think that he's exactly where he wants to be.
Now, interesting note, by the way, too. Obviously, it doesn't have a whole lot of relevance to the rosters going up against each other, but this is actually the old org for a large portion of the big roster, too.
Yeah.
And this is the first time in my memory that they've played since changing over to big, too. So it's a nice little chance for him to come back and show what he's been able to achieve since leaving NRG.
Yeah, that's interesting. We do have a German on the team, right? So you're saying Ange? Ange is...
He's Danish, I think, actually.
Oh, he's Danish.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. He didn't look very German. I think in the pregame chat he was talking in German, so I might have got a mistake there. But we'll see also if Rico is all he's cracked up to be. I mean, we've been casting NRG matches all season. We haven't seen Rico play yet. It's literally been like a week or two since he's been on the team, and suddenly he's thrown to the Lion's Den. He's on LAN versus an international team.
Well, he wasn't allowed to actually play in those online matches, if I remember correctly, because of like a managerial mix-up or something like that. They actually weren't allowed to put him on the EPL roster, so that's why he was absent for a lot of these matches. And now, like you said, he does it to kind of get tossed into the flames. Obviously, there's been scrims and stuff that I'm sure he's been able to participate in. But I went and checked it beforehand, and Rico doesn't have a whole lot of like tier 1 experience on teams and whatnot. So this is definitely a big test for him to be thrown really right into the fire.
I love it.
To start off his career.
No, we're gonna be calling to the observers to keep a microscope on this kid. I want to see everything that he does, every step that he takes, every move that I want to see his cross. I want to focus on his crosshair movement and see if it shakes at all. I want to get in there.
They want to get in his head.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't want to mess him up or anything like that. Don't get me wrong, but I want to know exactly how nervous he is and how good he is. But you would expect. You just assume you pick up a player who's good, he's going to do well no matter what the circumstance. That's what you have to hope, right?
Yeah.
You never pick up a player and assume that they won't be. But at the same time, I think it was Astralis when I can't remember what sub they had, but they said they learned the lesson that you should always go with experience over talent when it comes to picking a sub or someone for a big pressure environment or high pressure environment. And I personally think you can take a player that is, I don't know, in rank G or something, and they're like extremely talented, and there are a lot of players in pro teams that would match up to them, or not even match up to them individually. But the thing is that if you take them into a LAN environment or put them in the semi-final of a big tournament or put them in the finals of the major, they will completely crumble under pressure. And I think that is a huge reason why a pro player is what they are, is because you know that they aren't scared and they'll do the exact same thing in big LANs. And that's not just something that happens. That's just like a very important part of being a good player. And just like with any level of competition, right, you cannot be scared.
No, not at all. And talking about a little bit more about this map too, specifically for Big, this is definitely where Big, I think, made a lot of their first big territorial marks. This is where we saw like a lot of strong performance from them, going all the way back to Leipzig even at the beginning of this year. I think this was the most dominant map for Big, so that's another reason why I personally feel this one's going to end up swinging over into the German team's favor, is because they do have that experience going on in this map, and even here at DreamHack too, and NRG, like I said before, I feel like some of the stars are going to be able to make some big plays here, like Fugly and Cirque will definitely be seeing some good stuff from them, but from other players, I'm not entirely sure about how well the entire package is going to mesh together on a very intensive map like Cobblestone.
Yeah, it is an intense map, and sometimes it can be simple. Sometimes it can be as simple as rushing B, and that's like a very viable thing to do, and that can literally, if you have the best spawn, sometimes you're the CT that goes B, because so you have like five CT spawns and then 5 T spawns, but if you're on like a low buy on the T side, you're just going to put whoever has the best spawn, say, run in first, and if they have the best B spawn and in the CT camp, they are going to be late to B, they'll be able to jump out Broken Wall before the nade even comes into long B. And that can just be your whole rush. You get that opening kill, and then it almost doesn't matter where the trades happen from there. You've covered so much ground. You get the kill on the long B player, so you know that your players behind you are safe. And that's all it can come down to. So it is funny how Cobble can be so convoluted, but also so simple at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, it is looking like we're running into just a little bit of a technical issue here, so stay with us, and we'll be returning in just a couple of minutes with this map. Once again, it's going to be NRG taking on Big here from the DreamHack ASTRO Open in Denver. and welcome back again, ladies and gentlemen, to the DreamHack ASTRO Open live from Denver as we get ready to jump into our last initial match of the tournament here between NRG and Big. We're going to be clashing off on Cobblestone, and we should be just about ready to start the map here in a few moments.
Yes, Cobblestone. It should be exciting. Big, a lot of experience. NRG, a team that is a bunch of guys who have a ton of talent, and actually a lot of imports, as Trey mentioned, that are talented players from other regions that Fugly has been a good enough talent scout to, or sorry, Daps has been a good enough talent scout to actually invite over to our side of the planet, and they have been performing extremely well online, but we don't know how well they'll perform on LAN, and as individuals, we know they performed well and performed well together, but we don't know if that'll all come together with this much pressure in a high-stakes environment.
No, we do not. Now, we're just waiting again for the players to ready up, and then we should be good to jump into it here. And you can see them all getting warmed up and ready to go now. Rico's first time jumping onto a big international stage here, so he's going to have to prove himself, and for a lot of energy, and that may actually end up being the case here. Certainly the roster's first foray now that they've brought ANJ and Cirque onto the roster, and we're going to get to see them play here finally in Denver. Let's jump into it, ladies and gentlemen. We're going into Cobblestone, and we're live with the pistol. NRG starting off on the CT side, and Big will jump on the offense.
Initial setup towards B. Everybody is getting ready to go fast, and there's a couple of smokes and flashes. Good to go. Cirque's in a good spot, and Chicken Coop, however.
Moving back down, ANJ looking to resist some of this, but Breeze is actually the one to pick up a kill. It's Legia that just trades two of these back, and now Rico trying to get one by jumping into the windowsill, but only gets countered out by Next. Even Cirque's attempt to impact here. A Chicken Coop fails. He'll be knocked out by Next and leaves only Fugly alive in a 1v4. So Big, with great control, should be able to take easy control of the first pistol.
Yeah, it looks like Fugly here at this point is only going to look for kills. As they come to him, realizes there's not very much hope for him to win the round. And because he was the man to actually buy a nade set, doesn't even have armor to work with. So again, those retake kills can be quite difficult, and any damage that he can muster up might result in a better economy for him moving forward, but he realizes that he's going to be taking a loss. So NRG move into round two with a loss and a little bit less money. They have a Ange buying up. Everybody seems to be forcing, and two people, I think, maybe just Cirque, is because he is the opper, is going to be a little bit more fiscally responsible and only upgrade into a P250, but sometimes it's all you need.
Well, meanwhile, for Big, they go for a pretty usual investment here too. Just 3 of the SMGs and then 2 AKs just to counter anything up from NRG in case they bought in a bit larger. But it looks like, again, they just have the pretty usual second round force up with the exception of that coming on from Fugly, so they get a little bit of gunpowder off of that, but everybody else is just on a pistol and armor buy for the most part.
Cirque here sitting under long B. Smoke and Molotov come out. It has lured the CTs into the site as a terrorist are now setting up, but without the bomb quite yet.
It should be over there in just a second, though. Kiev is bringing it over towards drop now, or ramp, or excuse me, not ramp, platform over there. A smoke from the CTs, though, is going to be holding them back for a couple seconds. As NRG toss that out, gets to delay things for a bit longer. The 4-man stack is holding well for right now, but when push comes to shove, they're still going to have to hold off against the much better gunpowder from Big, as they've already moved in, taken drop control. Good molly coming out from Taps, and just to make sure that they safely clear out that corner. Breeze, okay, getting 1-2, and Cirque found a third kill as well. Now he's going to be holding the corner, able to find one more, and it brings it all down to Kiev, who's going to be destroyed by Cirque on the way down from platform, and that trades the round out, putting us 1-1.
Some absolutely nasty pistol kills, a couple of sick 1Ds from Breeze, and what a performance from Cirque, who had no armor to work with, getting those 3 P250 kills. The last one was actually nuts as well, but there it is, them sharing the brunt of the workload and shutting down their 2 choke points and putting a round on the board for NRG. So if we thought nerves were a problem, I don't think they were showing in that round. Now Big are going to be counter-forcing because they just lost a pretty undignifying round. They have not much to work with, however, because of their money. 3 CZs, a couple of Deagles, and a few sets of armor. I honestly don't even know if it was worth it, considering NRG won that round pretty decisively. Like, economically, do they make up for it by trying to force here and win this round? NRG are hanging on to a couple of SMGs, actually 3.
Yeah, and with their money being in a somewhat stable position, at least considering this point in the map, Big are going to have a hard time trying to break them down, as even after this, NRG should be able to reforce afterwards if they should lose this round. That'll put them in a good spot. Great support flash coming back in from ANJ's teammate, though, is going to let him freely wide peek out from the box on platform. taking out Legia. Nothing they can do to respond to that as all three of the big players were completely blinded. Now they're going to try to push out platform. That's not going well except for Keeve's 1 kill, but actually Next saves the day too, taking down ANJ before he can eliminate Keeve there. Keeve trying to make progress, but ultimately he'll be shut down by Breeze, and that'll give the round over to NRG along with early round control in general.
Yeah, it was a good early round control and a good approach to the round from NRG as they tried to flash off long B to make sure that they couldn't get in the execute, and they got in the execute before it started. So that was a great way to shut down the pressure, save as many people as they could, and we could see towards the end of the round it actually got kind of ugly, but now Big have to really slow it down here. They're going full Glocks, no nades whatsoever, and NRG realizing that they're not going to force up one more time, are going to hang on to those SMGs that did so much work for them in the previous round and continue to collect more income.
Yeah, just a straight push coming out from Big here as they're going to try to take control over A-Long on just a full Glock round. They do swing Legia over here into the mid connector, so he's going to have at least that control to play with. And right now it is just Cirque, so if he mistimes this, doesn't actually catch the A-Long swing, then he might be in for a bit of a nasty surprise, just like that, as Keeve's going to end up rolling in to get the kill with support for pretty much everybody else on the Big roster. Now Rico, as the CTs don't actually have a smoke for the cross, or excuse me, the T's don't have a smoke for the cross just yet. They can brute force their way through it, but with more trades coming back out, that is putting NRG back into shape. However, they're still behind at this point by 1 player, and Rico testing the waters out here over at the wall is certainly not going to help things as they continue to lose more and more. Tabson with the pickup on Breeze, but now more from NRG as Rico and ANJ both find pickups and bring this back down into an even fight, and one that NRG have the advantage upon, or at least you'd think that, since the guys on Big only have clocks, and we saw there Legia actually takes down Next and then makes it much easier for ANJ to close out on Legia, giving NRG the round.
Funnily enough, if Next came around that corner, he would be able to get that kill. Legia would be alive too. It'd be a 2v1. Super awkward situation, but the only reason it got that tricky in the first place is because they busted out long A, just as Cirque was watching lower mid, and Legia took his attention away from anything coming out of long perfectly, and that was a big problem for NRG. But we move on to a new round. They're happy to upgrade those guns. We're going into a double op setup, and there's a pretty standard default here for Big as they try to go for long control first.
Stark will smoke out the exit of A-Long, so there's not going to be anyone able to push in successfully just yet. You can see the big players being forced away as a result of that. They'll be stuck around the corner just in case the CTs try to get a little bit aggressive here, but everyone will hold back for now, just delay things, just run the timer down. There's plenty of it remaining here for Big, as they do have players in the B halls too, but now they've shifted them back. They've got them right outside of the mid connector, so they are going to be ready to deploy pretty much completely to A, with no one even leaving options open for B at this point here. So just patiently waiting for the moment when they would push through, and he's got that support from Rico over by Sandbags as well. Now the time comes, and Big, here comes this. It's a flash. No, it's Molly actually going over top here to try and burn their way in, and that's going to connect right on the Rico. Cirque with a great swing to find Tabson, but unfortunately he's way too far forward, so it's an easy trade from Gopi, and that is an open A site. Now everyone from NRG scrambling to rotate, but they're really not going to get here in time. Fugly is able to make it out and get himself behind the APC, but as he swings wide, he's taking a risk, gets that first kill, and instantly goes down. Breeze suffering from a similar fate, but this time with no kills for him, so it's only ANJ left alive in a 1v3.
There isn't much hope here. He's got Nop. He knows that Big have the bomb site control. 30 seconds remain as he tries to move in, but not a lot of options, and no rifle to pick up, it seems, as well. Keeve just peeking him right out the gate. 5 kills, 1 kill apiece for Big. Everybody putting in work there, and it started off with really cool long control. There was a setup there from NRG that looked fairly solid. They were timing their flashes perfectly, but then Big threw a Molotov instead of a flash, and because of that, Cirque figured he'd have to stay turned around, and I think it worked as a fake. And I'm not sure if that was just some EUCS or if it was Cirque overestimating his opponents or what the case may be. But if he just stood there and stayed peaked, he would have been able to get a kill.
Yeah, but because the Molly actually burns, I think it was Rico that was sitting over at Hay Barrels too. That puts him right in the open, easy first kill. Stark will trade because, well, as we've seen in a lot of the online matches, he's very good with that position, but still is going to be completely overwhelmed because of how unprepared he was to take on that situation. So that leads to a pretty quick round loss at the hands of NRG, and Big now have a chance to tie this up relatively quickly, as even though NRG do win that streak of rounds, well, they are never given a chance to really build up their economy. So they're put pretty much immediately onto an eco here. You can see P250s and Deagles. Some players won't even buy anything at all when you look at Fugly and Cirque, so they have to go very preservatively into this round and just split their players up 4-1 again. And Big, in the meantime, is going for that long crawl out through A-Long itself. Rico should be able to spot this, and actually a missed shot from Keeve, so was given a chance to do some damage here, but it's only about half the HP knocked off Keeve at the end of the day.
And that's the state of their economy as we move into this like full eco round, site control. This should be an easy round for Big to clean up, and also critically important not lose as many people as NRG did in those last couple of rounds. So even though they did with SMGs and they cleaned up, sometimes they only had 2 people alive, and that meant they had majority rebuys and were constantly spending way more money than they needed to. The overhead was too damn high. Now they're paying for it. They're also giving up their numerical round advantage. They have to move into next round, knowing that Big have also won a round with 5 alive. It's just piling up.
Yeah, and it's getting bigger and bigger here for the Big roster as they take more and more of an advantage. Now we're gonna have to look to see how NRG can recover. These last 4 really not in a position to do much of anything in this round, so they are trying to stack up at the door, probably gonna look for some exit kills as Big start to kind of walk away here. It works out to find B at least, but it seems like all of these other kills go very much in the favor of Big as they get a little bit of extra cash at the end of the round. They're taking down the remaining 4 from the CT side.
Yeah, we've talked about that situation before where you have USPs and you wonder, is the answer to push in late? You know that the retake kills are too hard. Well, do you try to catch one person off guard? And that is one of the strategies. Another is to just not go in for any kills whatsoever, realizing that you're also giving up kill reward to the other team. And it's not that that matters too much to Big, but it might matter more to NRG, who have to work from behind. That round actually reset them. They have Rico, who has an armored deagle. Everybody else has upgraded their pistols, not spent all their money, but they realize that they're on the worst end of a double save and have to just try to do, again, as much economic damage as possible.
This should mean, however, that going into the next gun round, because they were relatively close to being able to buy, that they're pretty much going to have full capacity here. There shouldn't be anything stopping them from getting even ops with full utility if they want to try to push for that. So when they come back into the buy, they're not going to be weak in any sense of the word here. They'll be very much ready to fight against Big here. But unless we see some superb deagle shots coming out from NRG again, this should be a round that Big should take. But we will hold, or I'll hold my tongue at least, until we see that come true, because we have already seen one upset, and there's Cirque finding the first kill. Is he allowed to escape? Yes, he actually does make it back outside there. Unfortunately, Gabi's not able to get in time to trade that, so first kill goes by the way of NRG, and they get a 5v4.
Oh, that was super clean. He was in and out, just like the burger restaurant. That was fast. I like that. And he's been super nuts with the P250. Very efficient, and you can always expect that of your operators, because they always have to fall back on their pistols. They're very good with them.
Tapsit now going to be moving in. He catches the first kill against the CT side. They know they've got Breeze waiting around Broken, so they'll handle him next. More being found now, and it seems like NRG, well, they did get a good start. They weren't able to follow through here on the B site hold, as they're down to just 2 players, one of them being Cirque West to rotate in from the other site. Rico now dead, and in a 1v4, Cirque Mind still has a P250 to play with here, so not the best odds to clutch this out, and more than likely we will be looking at a 4-3 lead for Big.
Yeah, a 4-3 lead, and more importantly, I think they've kept in total 9 players alive in these last 2 rounds, so that's big money for them. They have suddenly stolen back also not only the round lead, but also their economy, and there it is. They're getting another kill, and he is definitely on point right now. I think he's not scared, as we talked about, one of the qualities of maybe a new player, and one of the things you'd have to find out about your teammates as you come into a LAN environment, but it doesn't seem like he's worried whatsoever. He's here, he's doing his job. To him, it's all CS. He's got his mouse pad in front of him, his same mouse, and a computer screen.
So again, full investments for both teams here now, including that op purchase coming in for Cirque. So pay attention to that, as that's going to be the big player here from NRG, especially if he can position himself on the right part of the map here. At the moment, waiting over at A-Long, playing with Rico again. But if this hit comes in quickly, they're going to have to rotate very fast, and that'll indeed be the case. Keith already getting the first entry. Tapsit trying to wrap around, but he's too slow. Breeze was able to recover, but he can only get the 1 kill. Leggy is immediately there for a trade. Next, bust through to find Fugly, and that might already be the end of it here. These B players weren't even halfway rotated by the time the site was taken, so there's no chance for them at all. It's another round for Big as they stun the B bomb site.
Oh, this is truly stressful. It must be for NRG after having such a decent start. I mean, after like such a strong second round, suddenly they're just getting ran over by Big, who decide to go B fast, and it's really not that complicated. As you can see, they have many of their utility left, and it was a relatively simple execute. They just decided to go in, put pressure, keep good spacing, and try to rely on their entries. They were rewarded across the board. Tapsit, the only martyr for the team, but that really opened up the site. And now NRG are wholly hoping to be able to save the 2 guns that they have, because they won't have a lot of money next round, and they're still going to have to make a decision as to whether or not they're going to want to buy. But I think after having a 4-round loss, they might consider it. I think they definitely will try to reinvest and steal this game back. But it's almost 8K a piece on 3 players for Big, and 5 and 7K on another 2. So overall, definitely looking a lot more fearsome. Let's see here. Are they going to decide to buy? They actually know that they can buy next round, and because of that, Oh yeah, they did force buy, but they actually force bought into 2 MP9s. This is not a good buy, Blue. They could have put another M4 on the board and then had an SMG, but instead they're at an awkward money situation and they have like 2 and 2.8K on players. But instead of full buying the best they can behind their up, they've got MP9s.
Now Rico already being tested here too, and unfortunately spamming it just a little bit too soon gives away his position, so that lets Big get the initial kill. Thankfully, due to relatively quick rotates, or at least utility being tossed out onto the site, that does hold back Big for a couple of extra seconds. No one from NRG actually goes into the site or takes a risk in trying to hop behind the APC or, get over here to the A platform. They all just sit behind the doors. So they do eventually just let Big walk in. They get the free plant, and now they've kind of put themselves into an even worse situation as they have to try and retake this 4v5. They don't have anyone on a flank. I mean, Big have already essentially backed up, but that's going to be really weird because Big have all their players really far away from the site right now. So NRG, if they can move quickly enough here, they might actually be able to retake it before those other 2 players arrive. They're going in. They've already gotten 2 kills against Big at this point, and now they're just waiting for those rotates. They should jump onto the bomb, but they've got to find Gob B first as he's still sitting around the bomb, and they can't seem to knock him out. And now they're on the way. They're holding on to this. Gob B still alive too, being just this huge menace to the NRG roster. Cirque takes him down, but now it's a 1v1, and there's no time left to defuse that bomb anyway. Cirque has to run away, or at least get that last kill, and I think he should be able to make it out of the site in time, but he won't be able to defuse it, so Big still take the round with a 6-3 lead now.
It didn't look like NRG had any chance to win that, and it did come really close, and at the very least they did a lot of damage, but the most important thing was that Cirque was able to hold on to that op again. I think that buy was ill-advised, at least the way that it was put together, and I'm not sure if they had time to do the math, but they could have gotten way better weapons out of that, or at least had one person who was maybe on a crutch, and then the other 4 have proper weaponry. Either way, they've got another buy here. Full round loss, they're buying behind that op. I'm sure that op is going to need to have great impact, but it's big to slow it down a little bit, which I think will be a blessing for NRG. But they're also half anticipating that NRG are going to be using days early because they've seen these fast rushes, and so they don't want to be taken advantage of in that way.
Yeah, NRG already tossing out 2 of their 5 smokes here. A few of them still holding back. Cirque specifically has the more aggressive peek up on top of B platform, so he doesn't need to smoke anything out there just yet. You can see him deploying the more aggressive utility now just to try and make sure that in the event anyone swung out, well, they're going to get punished for it. However, Big, once again, not really playing around with B right now. They do have full control of A long. They've already been able to basically walk in there and take it for free, and they have guys right outside of the mid connector ready to aggress inside of there too. But even NRG continuing to make moves here. They've pushed ANJ through the counter boost up on drop, so he has control in these B halls to a certain degree. He will still have to watch out for next if ANJ continues to push into the next room here. And actually, look at this now with the rotate for Big. All their players moving through these B halls. They're coming back outside. This could be a huge play from NRG here if Cirque and ANJ can time this properly, and more importantly, if ANJ's been able to detect this. I'll assume he would have from the utility that's now being tossed, but we'll see. Walking around now, and no, looks like he's actually going for the flank. ANJ moves in, but he is going to be able to take down Tabson. However, that's the only kill he gets, and now Cirque, who gave up that aggressive position, now has to quickly try and go back to it. He's missed his cue, though. He's not going to find anyone moving through here. The T's have already jumped down broken, so he has the position up on platform, but he's going to have to try and use it to the best of his ability here as he sneaks forward, looking for the op shot. He is going to be stuck right now, and there we go. Moves in, finds Gob B on his first pickup. Now looking for more as he swings the sidewalk, but Next is going to beat him there. NRG failing to get more than just single trades, and it's not going to be enough for them to win the round. So that will leave just 1 alive again. Fugly's going to get pushed back and actually taken down before he can even escape into A.
Damn, that round's actually largely individualistic because NRG had the better setup, right? They had the control of top drop. They went for the info when Big gave it to them. So Big went and played around at A, and they called it out, and they pushed for long B control. They got top drop control, everything they wanted. As soon as Big come back to their site, ANJ messes up by flanking one player and assuming that there wasn't going to be another one, backs up as a third player rotates in, and that might be a little bit unlucky not knowing Next would be that late. But then also Cirque from his position played it well, stayed alive, but after getting that first kill, just a critical miss that would have made it a 2v2.
And unfortunately, messing up in a lot of those situations is essentially what tosses the round away from NRG and continues to put more and more of an advantage on Big. That's probably going to continue to grow on this round. Gob B already finding not just 1, but 2 kills. Once again, dispatching the entire setup over here at A long, and that's the entire setup at the entire A site as well. NRG already have to start looking for rotations here as they're going to start pushing through the platform at B. And even Breeze working his way back out there. But Big continue to play slow even after they get those 2 kills. They don't just rush directly onto one of the 2 sites. They're going to hold back for a couple of seconds here and actually end up shifting over towards B, but NRG have already fully bitten on the rotate, so it's going to end up being an open site anyway. As Big will walk right up, tossing in the utility. We got at least 1 player for NRG rotating back in. ANJ should be around the sidewalk area here to try and fight. He'll move in, he'll get 1 kill too, but oh, Keeve, right after the smoke plumes, is able to take down ANJ. And once again, restores the advantage for the German roster.
This is what they're taking advantage of as we near the end of this round. The bomb goes down, 2 players left. Is that when you're on pistols, that's when you actually do become greedy, because it's okay to think selfishly. You're supposed to be in positions where you're baiting your teammate. You're openly baiting your teammates for kills. You're doing whatever you can to just get 1 frag, right? Because you don't have a lot to lose. All you're looking to do is at best do damage, and if you get close to winning the round, then you start to play a little bit more safely, and you think, okay, if we can recover a rifle and we can use tactics here, we might actually have an advantage and win this round. But in the 5v5, when you only have the pistols, you're looking for whatever kills you can get. And so that means if anybody throws a fake, you're going to be way more susceptible to running across the map. And Big, after throwing a couple of nades over at A, pulled all of NRG out of B and hoofed it back to B. Now that could have been exploited if NRG didn't, if they stayed still, because they would have heard all those footsteps. They would have been able to get in positions like Flower and Chicken Coop, and Big wouldn't have had much time to get set up and get those frags. Now I don't like those hasty rotations back to the other side of the map, but it was because Big threw that initial fake that allowed them to feel comfortable doing it.
There's that wink.
That was sexual harassment.
It looks like we're going to end up shifting into a pause here too now. I'm going to assume that's from NRG, considering that they've just run into a brick wall, it seems, after those first couple of rounds that they traded out. So now you can see Daps up in the coaching position is going to try to do his best to see how they can counter out Big. It's a short pause, of course, so we are jumping right back into it now.
I feel like Daps is just too chill. Just listen, guys. You guys got this, man. You know, I feel like he's just a California surfer at heart. And I don't know if you guys have ever heard Babs talk, but he's super chill. But I think that can be good too, because he's not going to freak his team out by being freaked out, right? You know, if your coach is freaked out, it's like your dad's being freaked out. You don't want your dad to be freaked out. Your dad's supposed to be the Rock. You know what I mean? Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah. Well, we've got Big, and it looks like they're going to go back to a faster style of play, at least with a couple of players here. Next, leading the charge, there's I'm not sure if it was a single or double molly that came up from the CTs, but it does block the way over here, even with the smoke being tossed back down, and now the CTs will deploy one since their molly's gone. That should stop most of the aggression on Big for the time being, as they just hold outside of the platform, and they've got those 3 guys out in mid-courtyard too. There is still the setup over here at A long to deal with, should they try to go in there, but it looks like Big are just going to go for a straightforward B play and kind of leave Legia behind to watch out in the event that anyone from the CT side tries to get aggressive out from A long. It's not going to be happening though. Those players are pulling back. ANJ tries to go for a quick swing kill, misses it, and is now down at 29 HP. They mollied and smoked it at the same time, so actually kind of messing up on trying to still get that first kill, but so is ANJ, as he can't find this up shot. There we go, and it's the bomb too, so that should confirm that this is indeed the full hit. Fugly with the second, and Breeze with the third. Good defense finally being put up by NRG here, as they tear apart the hit. Legia will look to change that, but he can only get 1 kill. Keeve finding 1, but then as he jumps through the air, Cirque will grab him for the last kill in the round.
Great support from his teammates. Andrew was in a terrible spot after he took that first shot and missed, and then the second shot and missed. He should have died, but he was able to reposition because the molly ended up being smoked. He got to statue. His teammates kept flashing long B. Big could not get out of long B, which was their main problem. And when you decide to be explosive and you throw all of your nades out there, you know what I mean? You have to go. You have to just get in the site. Your first teammate can be blind, but he's just got to create space. And then once you're out there, you hope you're not dead, but you ate the counter flash. You lost. You know what I mean? You cannot just sit at long B and hope that it's all going to be fine. You can re-exec with no nades.
So we do see double molly again over here on platform as they try to deny any early aggression from this T side, but they're still going to go for it, and ANJ getting flashed out up on top of the boost position. He's left completely in the open, and that's an easy kill to start the round off for Next. Next trying to follow it through with this heavy spam. He couldn't find Breeze for some reason though, so Breeze will respond in kind, bringing it down to another even battle, but that'll change very quickly. Tapson taking the place of his fallen teammate, finds another kill, but Fugly, he still holds strong at the statue. They can't actually plant this bomb on the ground. He moves to sidewalk, but that's where he's going to meet his demise. Tapson still trying to hold aggression inside a drop room too, as the CTs are very quickly mounting up their retake from mainly inside of here, but actually Rico calls it off. Does not want to echo directly throughout the doorway here. So now Cirque makes a push, but a clutch jump from Keeve is actually going to be able to save his own life here. And now responds in kind with taking down Cirque. Rico though looking for the clutch as he finds 2. 1 more to go, but Keeve denies it. And Big will maintain, and better than that, reset NRG's losing bonus now.
That could have been his big moment for this match. That was close. That was very, very close. I mean, he looked good, and Keeve hit a nut shot, and that was really important. But I'm kind of disappointed, man. I'm disappointed at NRG right now because, honestly, Big's executes are not looking that fearsome. We had Fugly stay alive at Statue when it was supposed to be like a three-way split on B, but no one was peeking him except for the guy at Long. Where was the guy at Drop that had E-box control? Why isn't he out there trading the frag? You know, where is the team aspect? I don't see that being heightened with Big. I honestly don't even think that they're as fearsome as you could normally expect them to be. So I'm surprised that NRG aren't able to hold better.
NRG do get put onto a bit of a half buy here now going into the 14th round. Rico, though, is going to get the first kill from Suicide and obviously sounds the alarms. Breeze, unfortunately, gets caught in the molly. Gabi will take him down. It looks like Rico also dies to flames there, too. So Big, once again, very quickly restoring the advantage after a somewhat decent start from NRG in these last 3. The take happens so quickly that there's really not any opportunity for a real retake. I imagine with the 2 rifles, they might look to just save these in a moment. But let's see, as it does look like they're trying to move in for some kind of control here. At least trying to get a first kill. Probably if they can get the first kill, they'll move in. But if not, once the bomb gets close enough to exploding, they'll just back away and save.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they're gonna.
No, they're gonna go right in. Wow,
jumping in there. And this is like the #1 most difficult retake spot to come in. We see a really important retake. Smokes are critically important, right? Now we just the round ends off with nobody from NRG being able to save, moving into the last round where they don't have enough money to buy. It made no sense for them to go for that, I don't think. I mean, they really wanted to avoid having to have a maximum 5-10 round score, but now they even have a low chance of getting that. So you wonder if the logic lines up. But like jumping through heaven is just so obvious, and it's also this entire time where you're making noise, you do a running jump, and people are going to be peeking you while you're in the air. They have a huge advantage on killing you. So now if you don't got any smokes, and I was going to point out, no, there's a smoke that Fallen throws on retakes through the door that allows his team to come out. And you've got to get creative in that sense. You can't just like jump out. Wow, nice 1D from Eng.
He tries to get back up on the broken wall for one more, but it puts him into an awkward spot. Fugly can still move in to frag out himself, though, but again, only these single kills that we're seeing these guys pick up. Breeze finding 1-2, and this is actually starting to turn into something here now. Maybe they can get that 5th round onto the board, but same as before, one and done for these players here. So it's kept even into a 2v2, but those 2 remaining players still only have the pistols to play off of, Rico and Cirque, on either a Deagle or a CZ. The pressure's been enough at least to slow down the 2 remaining players on Big, as they're going to take their time moving into the site, or specifically for Tapson to clear out towards sidewalk here. He's going to try to push into it, but he's struggling to get the damage. Gabi does better off, though. While still up at platform, he catches Cirque trying to push out Statue, and now it's just on Rico to clutch 1v2. Looking for those Deagle shots, but not going to find it, and at the end of the day, Big do take that 11-4 halftime score.
Yeah, that was a nice recovery at the end in the 2v2. It got a little hairy for a second because NRG were doing a good job with the pistols, as they seem to normally do, but you know, yeah, we're seeing weaknesses in Big, and NRG weren't able to take advantage of them. Even when Big were just hitting the site very simplistically, not working it as hard as they wanted to, and even when NRG were able to get control of things, they couldn't like call out their B push. They weren't able to win the round off the back of it. So that's got to be kind of disappointing, and a relatively lackluster half for NRG overall.
Yeah, a lot of really great opportunities being presented to them to make some big plays, but no pun intended. But unfortunately, a lot of the individuals just kind of falling flat in some of those situations. And especially like in the gun rounds, never seeing anybody get like more than 1 kill from a spot. It was a lot of like 1-for-1 trades, and combined with Big being able to actually get 2 or 3 kills on a single player, they were just winning so many of the important gunfights, and that's why it was such a dominant half for them.
Yeah, on the one hand, you look at those plays, and you think, all right, well, if a CT is only getting 1 kill, that's probably because the T's are doing a great job trading. But what we saw, as you're pointing out, is that a player would get a kill, but there wasn't anyone else to trade it. It's just that he would not get a kill even with more opportunities presented to him to reposition, to look for other fights, and that's just kind of a failure on an individual level, which is disheartening, obviously, because you hope that at the very least you have that down. But I mean, that's what you get for facing Big, who don't have any slouches on their team whatsoever.
Keeve is going to be ready to fight. This is his stairway. You're not going to get past it. 3 quick kills for him on the pistol, and it brings the guys of NRG down to just Fugly and ANJ. ANJ going to try to hold here in the B halls, as now Big will even be pushing that, leaving these T-sided players with basically no room to maneuver whatsoever. They do successfully push Tapson back, but Next is going to tap right back into it with a frag to ANJ, and it's just Fugly again in a 1v4 on the pistol. Keeve wants to finish it off, but Fugly's going to take him down, as he looks for a few options here to maybe try and clutch out a 1v4 pistol.
Show us why you're IGL, Fugly. You must know all the nades. You have a set, and you have a 1v3 with a minute left on them. on the biggest, most ridiculous map possible. Can you pull a rotate here? Is there a way into a site to at least get the bomb down? That's obviously going to be priority number one. Objective-based game, getting all the kills is nice, but if you can get that bomb plant, that extra money, it's a win for your whole team, even if you don't get the round. So, obviously the score line would tell you that they're looking for nothing but rounds, but at this point, you wouldn't expect anybody to have to be able to pull this off, especially with the CTs able to thin themselves out, stick to each bomb plant or bomb zone, and to watch spots for each other, whereas Fugly just has to come out, hope to catch one player off guard and find a crack in the dam. Now, he's coming out long, which can be maybe expected, but he's also got a USP, so he might have an even chance in some of these fights.
There are 2 players waiting for him in the A set already, and Leggy is going to hear that nade being thrown out. Tags in for great damage, now brings him down to just sub 10 HP. He only also has 15 seconds remaining to plant the bomb. If you could kill Leggy, he may be able to dive into the corner to plant and just ignore the guy that's on ramp right now. But yeah, unfortunately, he's got his angle, so Gobby, which is one final shot, is going to take him out to finally secure that round for Big.
Comes down to Kiev, right? Insane USP 3K from Danger all by himself, and we're watching that back, and it was pretty much 2 bullets ahead. Oh, man.
Just looks too easy.
Yeah, I mean, this is what you want to see. And these are some really good pistol players, obviously. Now they are so confident. They know that NRG are most likely going to force up, but they're also they're feeling very good, right? So they're gonna just buy SMGs. They know they're gonna have to go up against armor. UMPs they feel like are gonna shoot through this, and an MP9 because why not?
Next just saw the B platform rush, so you can tell that everyone from Big is going to be quickly rotating in here to shut this down. One trade from Breeze, and now Breeze is the only one left alive, and not for very long, as B is going to clean things up with those last 2 kills and make it a very quick number 13 for the Germans.
Now, NRG used one of my favorite tactics ever. I mean, you know what that is?
What's that?
Rush B, Blue, come on.
Oh, yeah.
Did we just see that? He just rushed B, okay?
I didn't know if there was some added level of complexity that I missed or something.
I always try to get these over on Blue. Yeah, it can be strong, and sometimes it works out. We saw it fail, when Big tried to do it, and NRG took advantage of it. So I think they saw an opportunity there. But now they're back on Glocks. 13 rounds for Big. They only need 3 to win this game, and this is going to be one of their easiest.
Yeah, and NRG basically have like 1 gun round to try and turn this around essentially here, unless they can somehow upset on this round. They did get at least the 1 trade, however their players have taken a whole load of damage in response to it. Fugly, Rico, Breeze all right around or less than 50 HP, and the nade from Tabson is just going to finish one of them off here now. As Cirque stuck in the corner. He's going to be joined by the rest of his teammates, I think, in just a second here. But pretty much everyone from Big except for, who is that? Gobby, I believe, have rotated over here towards A. So they're ready to take the fight. And I can see Kiev cleaning up shop, except for Fugly, who was able to maintain. And now over to the P250. He's going to look to see if he can do any more damage here, try to keep the money low so that if they win that initial gun round, they can make some of these rounds a bit easier by breaking Big's economy sooner. But let's see. Nah, not going to be able to get anything else. Tabson knocks him out, and that does put Big at 14-4.
They put a lot of eggs in the basket last round by forcing up, and now with maybe 2 rounds to go, at least get a buy-in. They can stave off match point, try to make the big climb back, channel their inner Miley Cyrus, and try to get back up here to put together 10 rounds in a row. It's very unlikely, Blue. It's almost not going to happen for sure. But there's always hope in Counter-Strike. The economy resets, and sometimes the momentum is very important. But we're going to have to go 1 round at a time and see if they can actually figure out how to take apart the defense of Big. And at least they have an equal buy to go on in this half for the first time.
Players from NRG are going to take this very, very slowly, not even really moving into the B hulls just yet, just keeping Anj on the kind of outskirts of it here. Legia smoking things off to completely disallow any A long pressure from being successfully pushed forward, but he's not going to stay here. He's not going to try to hold this on his own. He will fall back to the A site after deploying that utility there. So NRG, after that fades, will be able to walk in. They'll obviously slow clear it just for their own safety. And we're even seeing a bit more of an early rotate coming out from the Big roster, too. They've got 3 players prematurely at A, and only 2 in B, one of which is outside of window still. So really, you've only got 1 player in the actual site, which is a bit of a risk for this first gun round, given the popularity of these B takes. NRG, though, do stick with the A play for right now, but they've yet to commit the bomb here, so we've got to wait for that. And it looks like it's happening now. Bomb is going to wrap over, and indeed, it seems that Big were correct to rotate these 3 players here, as the take is going to be heading to this site. In just a second. Oh, great flash, too, from Nyx.
Well, look how incredibly confident they are with this. Like, you would take advantage of really nice readjustment to get that second frag, and Breeze trades it, but that's a 2-for-1.
Smokes will go down there to the mid connector too to try and stop any more T's from pushing out there. They'll go out A long instead, so Gabi's gonna have to try and swing up ramp a bit here and look for that support. These last three trying to edge themselves into the site, but not gonna happen. Next with 2 quick kills, ANJ responds, but now he's alone. And with Big securing that round, they might have just secured the map. 15-4, and NRG will have to force by, and it's not gonna be pretty.
That was a giant read from Big to have all those players there. Tapson was basically left with the responsibility to hold on to drop from both sides as Fugly threw a smoke in the window and a molly into E-Box, denying any information with just his one couple of grenades. And still, Big played 3A, and they were so right about the fact that not only were NRG going to take long control, that they weren't going to F off after it. They were going to continue and push. And so that was a huge call out on their part.
So on what could be this final buy from NRG, they are going to force themselves into the B site, essentially just trying to push themselves directly into it again. Rico will get the first kill against Gabi, who tries to hold over by Broken. Tapson trying to pick out these players from the backside, but he's actually struggling to hold on here, and he ends up falling back behind the smoke. But Breeze will now take him down and continue spamming to get a second kill, however, now, wow, Next getting 2 quick kills, and Keeb finding one as well, but Keeb will be left as the last man standing, and NRG actually do successfully brute force their way out of the B site and slowly but surely knock out that entire CT roster.
What an absolute roller coaster of a round where there's a rush B, trades going back and forth. I like how that they used the Molotov that they knew was coming to smoke the left side of long B so that they could push out, still have vision while they make sure that no one's taking Molotov damage. And that was a huge reason they were able to get onto the site. Also, you know, they picked a good way to get out that Tapson couldn't see them crossing. And now they get another chance at life. They also have Big kind of on the back foot, have one person with a CZ.
Attempt to do some nade damage early on from Leggy here. Not a whole lot connect. Actually, no, it does hit Andrew a little bit there. He's going to be brought down relatively low here as a result of being hit by that. More damage being spammed in, but this time it's Rico that hits it from the other side to knock out Legia. And once again, NRG get a 5v4 advantage to play off of here. Slowing it down a bit seems to have worked out for them as, well, it seems like Big are getting a tad over aggressive and it's going to be giving up these kills early on as we just saw there at ramp.
Yeah, certainly looking pretty good. And they've got a very defensive stance. If we look at NRG, they're far back, making sure that no one's pushing. And we know that as a terrorist, when you get that opening frag, it's going to be very tempting as a CT to look for more information. So with the amount of time remaining, they're adding another 20 seconds on their clock in their default to make sure they can take advantage of anything like that. And all we've got from Big really is just a rotate back to B, which is a correct call.
Rico still going to be grouped up here with the remaining players of NRG sitting in drop, ready to try and move in and take some control. Big still a little bit confused about where exactly this take is going to be headed, and it might even get more confusing here in a second with Breeze making his push out from A long. We'll see if he's able to get into a fight, finds the player at door. He's still alone at this point, so I'm not sure if we're going to see any rotates being pulled over. Tapson actually does move a bit to the side, but with them... oh no, what is this?
What's
Fugly, he's going to walk right into Gob B, and Gob B kills Fugly. There's no time remaining to recover that too, and now Big are just tearing the entire roster apart. They were ready to execute, but the sudden flank from Gob B, who's actually going to get taken down. But as you mentioned, there is nowhere near enough time to get that bomb up onto the platform, so what a way to end the map. Big will take it 16-5 at the end of the day, with Gob B's surprise flank dropping the bomb and completely murdering the strategy from NRG.
Passing like ships in the night as Breeze thinks that he has some golden information, and then unfortunately is wrong about it as Gabi has walked through lower A because they did end up looking for information. So that's a rough round from NRG. It's almost a write-off. You got to wonder though, they did take a long time setting up, and it seemed like they might have been a bit nervous from that perspective. And we always see that when teams are a little bit too close to, I think, losing or winning, that they start to do things a little bit too carefully, and that might have been a situation where they needed to speed it up and not even let it get to the point where a bomb could be dropped or not even inside a bomb site with 20 seconds or less remaining.
Yeah, and now as well, with that victory going into the hands of Big, well, they're going to be able to push forward further into the group, I believe, where they're going to take on Mouse Sports now later on today. And for NRG, we're not going to see any more of them today, but they will still be in the tournament. Unfortunately, they're going to have to fight from the lower bracket, and that's going to be a whole load of best of threes that they'll have to play.
Yeah, we still got a couple of really exciting games. I'm looking forward to them.
Yeah, absolutely. So I believe that's Cloud9 and Renegades that will now face each other off, and then, as we were just mentioning, they're Big taking on Mouse Sports as well to be our final 2 maps today. They're 2 very good maps here, so definitely stick around as you're not going to want to miss either one of those. It looks like we do have the interview with our winners ready on the stage, however, so let's send it over to Paula.
Very fast, you are correct, Gob. That match was something else. It looked very one-sided from our perspective.
Yeah, it was one-sided, but there were some close rounds, so I think it was probably like a closer game than it looked like.
Okay, and going up against NRG, is it a team that you were well prepared for? Maybe a team that you couldn't get as much information as you usually would and maybe utilize?
Yeah, you can say that. I'm not following so much the American scene at the moment because the EPL games are so late. But yeah, we watched some demos and we were kind of prepared. We were focusing more on our game, to be honest. So we had kind of a game plan what we wanted to play, and yeah, in the end it worked.
And tell us a bit about Cobblestone. Now, this is a map some people want it out. Dust 2 is now has been revamped. Maybe you'd like to see Cobblestone out, or do you like the map? What are your thoughts on it?
I like the map, to be honest. I think you can play a lot of styles on it. Slow, faster pace, and also it's like T and C decided, so it's both. I think it's one of the best balanced map at the moment. There are some other maps which should go out before Cobblestone, for sure.
Okay, cool. So, interesting opinion from you, Gob. Later today, now, after winning this, you'll be playing against Mouse Sports. What do you think about those guys and that matchup?
They're for sure one of the favorites here in the tournament, so it will be a hard game, but I think if we play our game and A game and have a good start, so then we can win, probably.
Yeah, final thing, do you feel like when you get to these tournaments that you still have things to prove? Because of course you guys have had some good runs recently, but it's up and down, and so a lot of people out there maybe detract from you guys slightly and you want to prove them wrong?
For sure, we have a lot to prove, to be honest, because we had like after the major not a good half or half of the last half of the year. So we have to prove a lot, but we also know that this is not the most important tournament for us. We take it as a learning experience again, because we felt like we need more time. And at the moment we were all ill in the house, and we had some problems in the online games. So we need to prove it. We need to work from the bottom again, and hopefully be ready for the next tournaments.
Awesome, fantastic. Thanks very much, God B. You can head back to your team. All right, let's head back to the desk. Trez, what's going on?
Well, I can tell you what's not going on, and that would be NRG grabbing a lot of rounds versus Big. What do you think, boys?
Yeah, I would say Big. Really, all the players came out today and showed how good they actually are. Maybe, I think I was pretty skeptical, I won't lie. I kind of written them off as a team that isn't that good, and I mean, tactically they're very good, but individually I'm not too keen on them. But I think the way Gabi led the T side on Cobble was fantastic. He changed the pace from round to round, changed the bomb site from round to round. He always kept NRG guessing. A lot of times in-game leaders are scared to do something like that because they don't want to shy away from what's working. You just want a gun round. You don't want to leave it. But I think Gabi called that map perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this even pregame, didn't we, about just how tactical this big team is, how crisp their executes are, and you really saw that. I mean, even rounds where NRG had a good rotation and anticipated what was happening, just the timing on how they peeked off each other and how efficient their flashbangs were. I mean, even if you're in the right place, if you got a white screen the entire time, you're probably not going to do a heck of a lot. There was a lot of rounds like that where I felt like the utility of Big was just overwhelming to NRG. They weren't really able to find their footing, particularly on that B-bomb site.
Well, I mean, just kicking this one off, I mean, we saw 11 rounds go right away pretty much to Big over on their T side, which ultimately, as the story goes, and has been predominantly through the day, monstrous first halves in the 16-4s that we did see earlier. This one comes down to a 16-5. Gabi still has an in-game leader, and more importantly, it shows on Cobble.
Yeah, and the firepower showed up for this team as well. I mean, Nex is notoriously pretty good in group stage environments, and against teams that are, either even or kind of underdogs to them, he's usually always going to perform, and Tapson obviously a star player, but even some of the guys you don't necessarily expect to bring the firepower showed up, and Gabi and Legia, like they had some good frag counts as well, so it really felt like a team that was firing on all cylinders, whereas on NRG, you had a guy like Rico, who I thought had like a really tough debut in this game. I think Fugly's performance certainly suffered, and maybe it's because he's trying to in-game lead on LAN for the first time, and that's taken away from. But he certainly didn't look like the same Fugly we were seeing an online play recently.
Well, I mean, looking at Rico, all right, him coming in here and having the performance he did, I don't think that that's dooming of a career or something like that, right? I mean, this is his time stepping on the stage, predominantly for the first real time, especially with a new team. What would you guys say in terms of a mindset of a new player after a loss like that?
Well, it's important not to be too hard on yourself. I mean, you're not expected to come in here and suddenly be an MVP. There's very few players that are actually capable of that. I think Rico just needs to, hopefully his team environment is good and they're not too hard on him like, hey, you didn't play well. Just, kind of brush it off, move on to the next game, and just make sure he knows what his goal in every match is. Don't worry about this bad performance, or even, I wouldn't even stress to Rico that this entire LAN actually even matters that much.
I think the only scary thing is the language of when he was signed was on trial. And so that always feels a little bit different than actually saying, okay, we have full faith in this person. We're definitely signing him full time. You go to some type of contract, you expect him to be there for a long standing. But when they say the words on trial, that does lead you to assume that it could be a very small thing. I mean, look what happened to Jay Walking's trial on Renegades. It didn't last very long because performances weren't there. And so I think some pressure is on him in that regard, especially considering that to a lot of us, we had no idea about this pickup when we saw it happen. I mean, we talked about this in the green room, like, wait, who got picked up by? You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where I think that adds a little bit of pressure.
Well, even looking at NRG, obviously trying to find their rhythm, trying to find their structure. I mean, they're making a lot of moves in their camp, right? So the addition of Rico, Daps as a coach, where does this team need to go from here?
Ooh, that's a tough question. I'm not even really sure, to be honest.
I have stumped our analysts, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to call it a day, and I'll see you guys next
I'm
time.
not sure where they need to go.
Well, obviously they need to go on and win the elimination match. But I'm saying in terms of flaws that we might have seen, what could be improved?
Well, I think they definitely need a boot camp. I don't
You think
know.
so? Yeah.
I'm not sure if they did that. I don't think they did. But I mean, anytime you make a new roster like this, especially a team, as I was saying, that change rosters so frequently, I think you really gotta stick to a 5, like commit to a 5, and then boot camp. Really get all your strats down on every map, get game plans laid out.
Protocols.
Yeah, and they clearly don't have that, and that's something that they need.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they've made more moves than almost any other team in the NA region over the last, I don't know, like 6 months or so. I feel like they've had more transactions than almost any other team. Yeah.
Well, that does it for NRG and Big. Big walking away with a W there, and NRG will be facing in an elimination match tomorrow. Next up, we're gonna have Cloud9 and Renegades in the Group A winners match. But before that, I need to tell you a little bit about this thing called Sliver.tv, the next generation in viewing experiences in esports. Let's go ahead and check it out now.
Watch CS:GO and win free prizes. First, sign up with Steam. Then, as you watch CS:GO,